Yeah, it'd be a shame if somebody wanted to unsubscribe to Funimation's subscription service. It'd really be a shame if the button didn't work. But yeah, apparently Funimation's subscription service, whatever it is, not gonna lie, I don't have it. I don't use it. So I'm not exactly sure what all is entailed with their subscription service. But apparently they've got one like everybody else. I'm sure it's to watch certain anime that Funimation does and stuff like that. Just like Crunchyroll or any of the other ones that are out there. But apparently it was reported last week that the unsubscribe button stopped working. It was non-functional. It didn't do anything. Which is, of course, really highly suspect. I mean, seriously, you're dealing with a huge, big ordeal right now, especially after Sony has recently acquired Funny and everything else. It'd be really, really bad if suddenly their numbers took a major hit. So, making it very, very hard for you to unsubscribe is definitely something they're probably willing to do. Just another scummy thing to pile onto the scummy things that have been happening lately in the anime world, because why not just add to the pile? That's all we've got at this point. We've got a pile of crap. Let's throw more onto it. But anyway, as for that, it makes one sit there and think, what are the legalese when it comes to something like that? Is there possible legal trouble that Funimation could come into contact with it? I guarantee, I'm sorry. There probably isn't, to be honest. When it comes down to it, it happened after a site update. Their excuse is going to be whatever it is that they updated, messed with it, broke the button, they're sorry. It probably works by now, by the time that I've actually done this recording. I'm not really sure. But yeah, they didn't update, it broke the button somehow. Therefore, they can get away with doing so, because technically, you can still unsubscribe to their service, but you've got to go through customer service, you've got to contact them via email or whatever avenue that they have available. They're going to have to manually unsubscribe you after confirming you are who you are, of course, and all that good jazz, and it could take a while for that process to happen. But they didn't prevent you from doing so, they just had a hiccup in the system, therefore, they're totally A-okay. Speaking when it comes to, say, the law and stuff like that, because if they weren't, and somebody could prove that in a court of law, pretty sure that one's a little bit illegal. But anyway, so I'm sure they're covered on that front. But, actually speaking of, why did that button break? In my opinion, and this is in my opinion, it's going to have to be pure speculation, because that's how we have to do things these days, but, somebody did it on purpose. I mentioned Sony acquiring them recently, which was a recent acquisition, I think, last year sometime. Sony did acquire Funimation. So, they're sort of their own thing, but Sony kind of owns them at this point. But, it would definitely be a bad thing for suddenly a mass exodus of their subscription service to happen, as the company has changed hands into Sony, because, Mama and Papa Sony ain't gonna like that one too much if they've acquired a dud suddenly out of nowhere, which brings in a lot of other issues as well, whether or not Sony is going to sort of let all this stuff play out, and sort of sit over here and go, you know what, Funny, you got this. This is your mess, you dug that hole, you get yourself out of it, or if Sony's going to step in and actually help Funny with this kind of thing. So far, it doesn't look like Sony's doing a whole lot of anything, they're just sort of off hands at this point. But just going into the whole sub button, or unsub button being broken, it was reported on Reddit that a user had brought up the code and everything with screenshots and stuff to show what they were talking about. And definitely it was a deliberate thing because, from my understanding, I know it's been a while since I've done websites, and I mean a big while. This was back in high school when I was dealing with websites and setting things up and stuff. Generally, each individual page is its own set of code, especially in HTML. Yeah, you would essentially, from when I was doing it anyway, would have a home page or whatever. So we're going to use this as an example. You've got your home page, and you want to direct to, say, your customer service page. You click on, you set up a separate page of code, and this is going to be your customer service page, and it may have links and other things and stuff like that, or just basic information, and then it will have redirect links back to, say, the home page and other locations on the site. And when you click on the customer service side, or the customer service link on the home page, it then the code is telling it to redirect to this page of code. And then when you click home page down at the bottom, it will then redirect you back to the home page of code. So, when you sit there and you talk about coding and all that good stuff in HTML, generally each page is its own separate bit of code. And when you do that, it's very hard for you to break a particular set of code that is on an unrelated page. You would have to go in, mess with that code to fudge up that code over there, because it could be one of those things where you're going in and you're messing with the code in the home page because you're redirecting to different links and all this other stuff, and you've accidentally deleted a line somewhere that might have been affecting this particular link over here at the bottom of the page without realizing it. You may have made a mistake right there, and then it would kill the link on that page. For whatever reason, it would give you an error, 404 error, or something weird like that if you actually try to use it in real life. All of a sudden, it's all real life, but if you try to use it in its, functioning format on the internet or whatnot, because it can't find the page because the code is messed up and is redirecting you to a nothing link or whatever it is, or a nothing page because the code got messed up. So, they did this, site update, which probably changed, homepage and other things, and maybe, they've, put stuff here and there and somewhere else, but a page like that where you would have your subscription information, your unsubscribe and stuff like that, generally, unless they overhauled that page, and since I don't use Funimation, I can't really go look at before or after pictures of whether or not they've actually overhauled this page for any particular reason. Generally, whatever you've done somewhere else on the site isn't going to affect how that page works or functions unless you've affected, the actual page that said link goes to, or you've done something on that particular page itself to mess up the link, which is why I feel like it was a deliberate thing. If this was an actual thing that actually happened, and since I can't go and confirm it due to the fact that I don't utilize Funimation's subscription, it makes it really hard to go and try and unsubscribe to see if it was broken or not, and take screenshots and all that good stuff. But generally, whatever they overhauled somewhere on the side or whatever should not have affected that particular button, and it was purposely done. But that's just me. That's my opinion. But, the hypocrisy that's going on in the industry right now, especially with the different voice actors like Mars Girl and the other ones, and Suiku and all that good stuff, is just astounding. Heck, we've hit into an age now where if you are male and you look at a female for longer than 5 seconds, they want to consider that sexual harassment in some way, shape, or form. And it is just downright ridiculous. You've got all these voice actors who have done all these meet and greets for years at this point. They've hugged fans, they've kissed fans, they've taken photos with these fans, they've posed with these fans, done all these different things. And then suddenly, this is the one. Is a bad thing. And Lord, heaven forbid you bring it up, well, you've done the same thing for the past X amount of years. Why is it bad when you do it, but not when they do it? And this is where I want to throw on some more conspiracy hats, the tinfoil of what actually happened. Because I mentioned it in my previous video, I said, it feels like he's scoring somebody. Like, so he's got a jilted lover or something kind of case coming on, because it wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened. I can't think if it was last year or the year before, but there was an article out where it was essentially a real life Mean Girls kind of deal. You know, you had 5 females who ruined this dude's life. And I think he was like a senior in high school or something, or a junior in high school. I can't really remember the specifics, and I can't find it anymore. But essentially what happened is they didn't like him, and suddenly 3 of them or so came up with sexual assault allegations towards him. And then the other 2 corroborated that. It's like, yeah, it happened. Totally ruined this guy's life. Turns out it was all false. After an investigation was actually done, it was false, and the parents were, naturally, of course, ready to sue whoever. Because they totally tarnished this kid's life. Because they didn't like him. They thought he was weird. Whatever it was. And that is just ridiculous. When things like this happen, there needs to be an investigation. Everything needs to be kept under wraps. And if it's found out that you're lying, you need to be tried or whatever for whatever he would have gotten. Or vice versa. Yeah. But then that needs to come out. So-and-so made a false report of X towards so-and-so and is now on trial for that. You know, wasting police time and all this other stuff. But I feel like he's messed with somebody. Like, for instance, Monica. I honestly think maybe it was something to do with her, because you know, you can go and look through a lot of this stuff, and between Vic and Monica Rial, they're very close, it seems like, in a lot of the stuff that's out there, from tweets, pictures, and everything else. And of course, Monica, you know, fiance and everything else like that, probably found out somehow. Maybe they had a thing going on behind the scenes. It's possible. And that's what I'm thinking, that maybe they had a thing going on behind the scenes and it got out somehow. Especially with, you know, his account of what happened versus her account, because they're similar yet different. You know, they find her not really a victim in that, but totally okay with it because there was something going on. And then it found out, and then he found out, or not Vic, but her fiance found out, and, you know, wanted to know what happened, so she came up with, oh, well, he forced me. Which wouldn't also be the first time that lie has ever been used, essentially, because there was another high-profile case not that long ago, where one girl accused 2 guys of forcing her. All because she didn't want the guy that she was truly interested to find out that she had a threesome with him. And it was just to cover that. It found out, you know, that got spread around that she did this with X in the bathroom. These 2 guys or whatever at a party. And she went with, oh, they forced me. It was rape. Just so dude wouldn't think less of her because she was interested in dude. And if I remember correctly, she is now got a 2-year sentence. Can't remember if it was suspended sentence or if she's actually, you know, being tried for about 2 years worth of jail time or something. But yeah, it turned out it was it was false. So it wouldn't really be too far beyond the realm of possibility that he was just dipping his thing and crazy, well, you know how that goes. But anyway. So, the next thing to talk about with all this real quick is this video that I'm going to play a bit of. Because, quite frankly, the message is good. It really is. So let's play that for a second.
Hi, I'm John Swayze.
And I'm Brittany Karbowski. In recent weeks, our little nerd community has been shaken up. There have been revelations about stuff, rebuttals about stuff, and hopefully reflections about stuff.
But unfortunately, the dialogue has turned divisive and disrespectful, and most recently, dangerous. There have been threats, real threats that are both unhelpful and unhealthy, but also irrational and illegal.
But wait, we don't do that.
That's not us.
We're nerds, not bullies.
We don't threaten each other.
There's no place for that here in Nerd Paradise.
We are a family.
We nurture each other.
We share with each other.
We celebrate each other's weirdness.
We lift each other up and we protect each other.
We are better than this.
So remember, be good.
Be nice.
Be aware.
And most importantly,
be there for those in need.
Be there.
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 Now, the timing between this. The timing is horrible because it looks just like it sounds. You know, we're nerds. We're geeks. We don't fight. The only fighting we do is usually within fandoms. We fight about different nerd things, different fandom things, you know, Picard versus, you know, Kirk, stuff like that. Especially if you're a Trekkie. You know, we fight about things like that. And for anybody's information, the answer to the question of Picard versus Kirk is actually Janeway. At me, bro. Anyway. But, yeah, so that's generally our fighting. We have infighting between fandoms about what's better, what's this, what's better versus that, did Han shoot first, things like that. You know, and we have our other, you know, spats as well, especially in the anime. You know, what's better, Brotherhood or the original, you know, manga versus this, and stuff like that. And everybody's got their favorites, and that's about the extent to our infighting. And then we have something like Gamergate, and every other gate since then, that a lot of us generally have a toe dipped in to, whether we know it or not, because we are geeks, we're gamers, we watch anime, we're weeboos, we have all these things that tie us together, from video games to anime to manga, just general nerd things, you know, Star Wars, Star Trek, science fiction, the Doctor Who group, you know, it doesn't matter, we generally are in things together, and we may not be all in it together. You know, we may be, you know, somebody who loves to play RPGs and also loves anime. Or maybe we're a huge Star Trek nerd who also watches anime. And other things like that. And we have a lot of infighting. It's not like us to fight like this. But at the same time, we generally don't have something like this to really fight and rail against. You know, it felt like they made these allegations expecting the entire fandom to follow in their footsteps, to go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, we're 100% behind you, and to not ask questions. And then people started asking questions. You know, why did the, you know, what was this? You know, what was all of this about? If this was the thing, why didn't this happen? Have you gone to the cops yet? What's going on here? And then we dig, and we dig, and we dig some more, and we find out all these interconnected things, like, you know, this person is related to this person via this, and you know, this person has, you know, her fiance is a higher up, or her husband is a higher up in Funimation, which would explain why, you know, the dubbings seem to always have this political left leaning to them, and why nobody really likes the dubbings anymore. We watch it sub, because they add things into the dubbings that make no sense, because Japan doesn't care about that crap. You don't hear Japan railing about the patriarchy, but if you watch the wrong dub, That's exactly what you're going to get when a character spouts something about the patriarchy for some reason. They're not worried about that kind of crap because they don't care about that kind of crap. That is purely left NPC SJW rhetoric being shoved into our hobby, our love for a particular genre. And we as the nerds, we as the fans, we're upset about that as it is already. So of course we're going to question this when somebody well-known who's been in the industry for years, who's never had an issue, suddenly gets accused of something. We're going to ask questions. And then rather than answer those questions or provide any actual proof, you rail against us being misogynists, being, women haters, or whatever it is, being homophobes and labeling us all these different phobes and ists out there. We're all right-wing trolls for some reason because we dare question the validity of your claims. On one hand, we shouldn't be fighting. We really shouldn't. But at the other hand, something like this requires a fight, especially if you can't provide proof to it. We need to know whether or not it's true or not. We need some form of proof to explain whether or not what you are saying has any validity to it. Just one. And that's all it takes. One bit of proof. Instead, your proof is slander. Your proof is he said, she said. Your proof are lies and doctored images. Getting caught trying to doctor images to make it look worse. Your proof is, I felt uncomfortable. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but in a court of law, I am uncomfortable is not a freaking lawbreaker. You don't break the law because you made somebody felt a little uncomfortable because you pulled them in for a hug for a picture or whatnot. That is not against the law. It never is. It never was. It may feel a little creepy to you in current year because this older gentleman is pulling you in for a hug during a photo op or whatnot. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's not illegal. It really isn't, especially if he's had so many fans do that to him. Which, of course, led to his apology that he may have made some people feel uncomfortable without realizing it because he's so used to it. So used to fans just coming up and hugging him for a picture or whatnot, that he just does it out of habit at this point. And in current year, you can't do that. You can't even look at a woman for more than 5 seconds without being, slammed as some kind of pedo or whatever because of your age versus theirs, or an abuser if you guys are both of age just because you looked at her the wrong way for too long. Which is a damn shame. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this now. It's gone on long enough. I'll talk to y'all later. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Till then, I'll see ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.